It's about that time of day again. Welcome back to Nightly Newsletter, boys and girls. Joseph James here. It's Monday evening, July 18th, 2016. Boy, if today's volatile markets are any clue for the rest of the week, we should have no problem finding plenty of tradable opportunities across all of our favorite futures markets. This evening, crude oil is bearish, long-term bearish, short-term bullish. S&P and Euro are bullish, and gold is trading sideways inside of a range as we head into a highly anticipated Tuesday trading session. Got a great newsletter for you guys and gals tonight. Before we jump into our charts, check the schedule, and put together some strategies for tomorrow, I want to remind you the only place to watch the full-length version of this newsletter is here on our blog at sidewaysmarkets.com. If you're watching the video right now on our YouTube channel, not to worry. There's a link in the description of the YouTube video. Follow that link and come over and join me here on the blog at Sideways Markets for the full-length version of our newsletter video. While you're here, don't forget, if you're not a member at School of Trade, make sure you grab your free pass. Come out and join me as a guest in the trade room. You can grab your free pass in the upper left-hand corner. Also, don't forget to join the newsletter mailing list. Your name and your email address is all I need, and I'll send you an email every evening when the nightly newsletter is ready to be watched. Below the video tonight, you can download all the charts that you see me using in tonight's video. Find those charts by following that link right below the video, and don't forget, all the chart time frames are in the upper left-hand corner. And then, of course, I always remind you, you're going to learn more with me in 1 week on my free trial than you will anywhere else on the interwebs. Join the free trial membership on the right-hand side of the blog. There's also a button on the homepage at schooloftrade.com. And if you need any help along the way, don't forget, I'm always standing by 24/7, 365 to answer all your important questions. No matter what question it is, big or small, use that live support button on the right-hand side of the website, and we'll get you guys taken care of. Another busy day in our trade room today. Had a great session with our students. Looking forward to another great day tomorrow. Don't forget, we open up our trade room every morning at 8 o'clock Eastern Time with all of our advanced members here at School of Trade. Let's check out the schedule for tomorrow, Tuesday, July the 19th. But first, we have news coming out from our good friends down under. We'll get the Royal Bank of Australia. They get the meeting minutes coming out there tonight at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you are trading the Asian or Australian session here in the overnight session, please be aware of that 9:30 p.m. announcement. Then tomorrow morning, we got the CPI from our friends in Great Britain. We got the Zoo survey. That's a kind of a consumer sentiment survey for businesses, right? That'll be coming out of Germany tomorrow morning. And we got housing starts at 8:30 a.m. with all of our students in the trade room. So tonight, some news out of Australia, 9:30 p.m. tonight. That will likely have a little bit of an effect on the markets in the overnight session. But I think the most movement tomorrow will be coming off the CPI and the PPI from Great Britain at 4:30. Of course, the ZEW from Germany at 5 a.m. And then in the U.S. session tomorrow, we're definitely going to be excited to see some early morning news from the housing starts right tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Relatively quiet news day, but we definitely have some early morning news, right, for traders in the London session, and of course some early morning news in the U.S. session. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern Time in our live trade room. And, of course, we'll trade around all of that news as we always do, right? We don't trade the news. We simply avoid trading around that news, and that way we get much more reliable tradable opportunities. Let's jump right in this evening. We got crude, S&P, gold, and just a little bit of euro to wrap it up here tonight. Crude is bearish long-term, bullish short-term, as you can easily see, and that can easily change depending on this next pullback. We started the session this morning with contract rollover to the 9/16 contract, so heads up on that, and a strong bearish trend which barely missed that triple down target at 45.43 before the buyers got their opportunity to hold a pullback and take control of the market moving higher. We have to give the bears the edge right now simply because of that strong move lower to start the day. But we can't count out the buyers either if they can get a good signal to buy this next pullback. I think the bull channel is going to be the most important variable in the short term. Sellers want to see a breakout pullback below the channel low for a sell down to retest the low of day, or the sellers can also look for buyer failure up at the high of that channel overhead and, of course, that measured move resistance level. right, if they want to look for a better selling price overhead. Now, buyers will be looking for a seller failure at the low of this channel or at the 47.74 swing low, and they will want to continue using the low of this bull channel to make sure they don't get caught buying high tomorrow, right, with a target back up around the high of day, around 46.84. As you can see, the session began today completely in control of the bears. It lasted until the end of the U.S. morning session, right? Started off a little bit of a trading range, you can see here. A little bit of a gap down, then just collapsed here, right, for the meat and potatoes of the U.S. session. We spent the whole entire session this morning in our trade room looking for selling opportunities before going out to lunch. And then, of course, after lunch comes back in the chat room, right, we're looking for those buying opportunities now coming off of that low. Now, as you can see, the big strong push down, that definitely tells us the bears have that slight edge in the long term. Whenever we see a real strong move to start the session, we have to assume that every time price goes above any of these prior swings, you're going to have what we call swing sellers entering the market. You know, how do you entice more sellers in the market? Make the price go higher. How do you get more sellers interested? Get a higher price, right? If you want to sell your home, right, give me a better price. Offer me a higher price, and I'll gladly sell anything, right, for the right price. So as this price goes higher, more and more sellers are entering the market, and we assume we've got another one sitting right here for a target going back down to retest that low. The ultimate target right now for the sellers at 45.54. That's the ultimate target. And then you got that triple down that they barely missed earlier. That's right there at 45.43. So really right now, the objective for the sellers is to get right back into this area here. 54 is the most reliable target. And then from there, if they do really get this thing moving lower here, then possibly here a larger measured move to the downside. We'll have to wait and see kind of where that thing plays out for tomorrow, but that would be a long-term target for the sellers. For the buyers, we got that bull channel right now, and that bull channel is ultimately the most important variable right now, I think, for both sides. Buyers are looking to buy the low of that bull channel and take their profit back at the high. Buy the low of that bull channel and take their profit back at the high. The buyers are also gunning for a measured move. And don't forget, when we get to the measured move, we expect to see one of two scenarios. The first scenario would be a run right through it, breakout, pull back, and go. That's a little more aggressive. Second scenario would be we get to the measured move, we get that two-legged correction back to an area of support, and then back up to get that double top, right? And then we can possibly see, right, if it wants to break out, pull back from there as well, right? That's another scenario after it gets back up to that high. So most important thing is the top of the channel, the measured move, and then if it really does get a little bit kooky tomorrow, right, then we know the buyers are ultimately hunting for the top of the top of the range, right? 46.84. There is that little short-term trading range here, and that may kind of get things hung up here for a bit. But the ultimate target, of course, for the buyers after they achieve the measured move, of course, will be to get to that 46.84, right? To retest that high. And, you know, now that I think more about it, really to fill that gap. But really right now, though, back to the high of day will be their ultimate objective, at least in the medium to long term tomorrow. But they've got to get to the measured move first, and they've got to fend off these sellers first. So what's the plan here? What if price rises? What if price falls? Well, as price rises here, this is where, of course, the buyers are looking for that breakout pullback above the measured move, holding above that channel high, and then for a run back to the high of day. That's going to be the most aggressive scenario for the buyers, right? As price goes higher here, sellers will definitely be looking for buyers to try that maneuver and fail so they can sell high. Remember, we assume that above every swing high, look at this last candle right here. Right, look at that. Look at the last wick on that candle. Does that look like a buyers have a strong finish to that session? No, it definitely doesn't. So we can definitely tell that every time price goes up, right, see strong red candles, strong reaction to it. They're not getting very much done right now, but you can definitely tell that they're entering into this market every time this price comes back up. So why not continue here? And of course, buyer failure right back down. Now, for the long-term sellers, There's the key here. For the long-term sellers, selling a buyer failure at the measured move is perfectly acceptable. But if you're a short-term seller, though, remember, long-term sellers, they'll just keep selling more as it goes higher. Short-term sellers, we really want to be more precise with our entries. So as this price goes higher, short-term sellers, yeah, the first opportunity here is for a buyer failure, but really holding that next pullback, that's where those sellers are going to want to be getting in, right? That kind of buyer failure into a new lower low, the moving average will come around, right, and they hold the pullback back down. That's going to be a little bit more reliable for the short-term sellers. Long-term sellers will just keep selling into it as it goes higher. Short-term sellers don't have that same type of strategy, and so they'll put their stops just above that prior swing, which means they want to get a little bit more evidence. Lower low, hold the pullback, and go. Just make sure you're aware that you have the low of that channel coming your way to the downside. Now, that's if price goes higher, right? If price goes lower, this is where things really get interesting for both sides of the market. As price goes lower, buyers are looking for sellers to fail with that breakout pullback and get a beautiful shot here now to buy the low of that bull channel, right? That will really be a delightful spot for buyers to buy low, right? That's the goal, of course, for buyers. Buy support, buy at the lows. Now, sellers really, in this case, they're looking to hold that move, right? They want to hold that. If they can hold that breakout pullback, then this channel really becomes nothing more than just an area of resistance for those long-term bears to sink their teeth into. And of course, their target now is back down to that low of day. All right, guys. So really, like I said, this next pullback, I think, is really going to say a lot about where we go from here. If price goes, if price goes higher, look for that blow right through breakout pullback, or price goes higher, buyer failure, sell it back down. Don't forget, if we get to that measured move for the bulls, look for that two-legged correction, followed by that move back up to retest the high. But again, watch out though, as we get down to the low of this channel, down to the low of that channel, seller failure, beautiful opportunity. But if the sellers can hold it though, watch out for that move back to the low, down to that triple down. And then again, keep an eye out for a larger measured move tomorrow, which we'll have to kind of pick up tomorrow morning, right where we left off here this evening, and see what we're getting in the short term. Again, got to give the bears a little bit of the edge right now, but don't count out those bulls, right? Don't count out those bulls until the bears can really sink their teeth into this thing below that double down, below that bull channel. I think the bulls have a very valid case right now to at least get that measured move accomplished right before we can find some more information tomorrow. How about some S&P? S&P is bullish and trading inside a range this evening with a target to go back to retest today's high. You know, we started the session with a big gap higher from last Friday's close, which then pulled back nicely to allow the buyers to get into the move before trapping low. You can see it right here, right? So, sorry about that. Wrong hotkey, right? Nice big gap up. They pull back, gives the buyers a chance to jump in on the move as it goes back to that high. Beautiful example there of a trap low, right? Where buyers who have their stop losses, right? Those short-term buyers get run out of the market, then they have to chase after things. The reason why traps are such great, in this case, a trap low is a great buying opportunity, is because it gets the breakout sellers. Believe it or not, there are sellers who actually try to sell that move right there. I know it seems ridiculous why you would sell the absolute low, but you'd be amazed how often that happens. So breakout sellers, and of course most breakouts fail, they are statistically unreliable. When those sellers realize they're wrong, they have to buy their way out of their position, and that sends price higher. We also know that buyers are waiting here, and they have their stop losses sitting here, right? Believe it or not, right? That's a great place for the buyers, right, who bought that first candle to put their stops. Well, what happens is when it comes back and runs out those buyers and immediately runs higher, now all those buyers feel like they got bounced out of the trade, and now they got to find a way back in, right? They're going to now chase after this market, which is going to throw more fuel on the fire for the bulls.